Yesterday, I was speaking to someone about spaciousness or space in our lives. And when you are receiving a new chapter, be it a new part of your biz or a new career or a new vision, whatever it is, having the space internally within your feelings, thoughts, who you're being to receive that vision of what is next for you to actually do is so important. And I have said I would record this episode on spaciousness for maybe 2 weeks. I've been present to it. So here she is. And let me preface this by looking at nature. And for those who are watching on YouTube, behind me, I have nature, the fazenda here in Brazil. And maybe you can see the cows as they walk by. And, we are nature. There's non-separation from us and nature. From a scientific perspective, we are made up of cells, and those cells are made up of atoms. And atoms, the mix between matter and space, is something, 99.99% space and 0.01% matter. So we are more space than we are actual matter. And if that doesn't blow your mind, there's an episode I recorded about quarks, which are the elementary particles. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. Anyway, back to the space. So if we are internally in nature, space, and what you can see, or even the sound that you're hearing, there is more space in that than there is matter. Then how come, as my gorgeous husband would say, we are so busy doing and there is no space? It just doesn't seem natural that we have this capacity for internal space, inner space, a spaciousness, and that our external lives are so busy. And in those lives, externally, we work so hard and we do so many things. We have so many commitments and we're stretched so thin that it is really difficult to receive in something new. That's something that's calling you, whispering, as it happens to me, when you are so occupied with that stuff. And so what I have learned through my practice in the personal development space, which for now has been since 2012 is when I was doing wilderness education, and then really deep dive into coaching and personal development from, say, 2015 to 2016. So and there's the beauty of space there. Can you hear the breeze? You can see it rustling in the trees. That's just part of who we are. So yes, when you are receiving in that new thing, it's really difficult to receive in something new when you've got no space for it. So what can you do? And what I have found from all my experience is that the shift always comes from within. The internal reality of how we perceive, how we're aware, how we feel, how we think. The changes always happen in that space first, in a different level of consciousness, if you like, before they happen externally. Which brings me to, if you are wanting to start a new chapter or even receive a new chapter, you don't even know what's next yet. And physically, that could be different things that show up. That could be the looping back to the episode with Jody, it could be your dream job, or it could be a new phase in your biz, or it could be a new relationship. And the thing that spaciousness is about is creating that spaciousness within you to receive. These are my top 5 tips from really 2012 when I started that journey, which saw me go through corporate to wilderness, wilderness to small business, going from in 2020 having a very private life to going to a public life. And then in 2023, my position was made redundant and going to being a world traveler. And then in 2026, this year, going from world traveling to becoming present and becoming that state of living my highest values. And let's go to those top 5 things. Number 1, meditation. And it doesn't need to be for a long time. If you meditate for 5 minutes in the morning, just that action of becoming still and listening to the thoughts that come up. Because at first there are a lot, if you're new to meditation, there are a lot of thoughts that come up at first. And just acknowledging them and then doing nothing with them, not taking any action, because what you are in that moment is meditating. For those of you who are more, for lack of a better word, experienced practitioners in meditation, there's more that you can do in that space. However, that 5 minutes can be such a shift in the beginning. The second is a model from Pavlov. I believe I have that correct. If I don't, it'll be in the show notes. And that is something that I use with the people I work with in recovery and healing, with stimulus plus thought equals response. And how that usually the experiment was that with the dogs, there was a bell, and when the bell was rung, food was given. And so they associated the bell with food. And so they would start salivating at the sound of the bell. Now, I would say that most of the time when there's no space, we are in stimulus plus thought equals reaction. And when you see that the stimulus plus thought, and I'll add here a pause equals response, then you have spaciousness. And bless, I will borrow from David Guillaume, who has this phrase, which I love and I have shared. And one of the people I support really loves it. He says it to me often, is pause, what a pleasure. So that would look like stimulus. For example, my uncle just walked by. So thought like, oh, I looked away from the camera, and then pause, what a pleasure that I am surrounded by family and people I love, and response to bring that to this episode that you're listening or watching to. So you can use this, and if you have pen and paper, that I have here, you can write it down. Stimulus plus thought plus pause, what a pleasure, equals response. And just try it out, right? Any of this stuff that I'm saying, you can take it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, there'll be something else. And you can try it for 2 weeks and see what the results are. The third one is to do things for yourself and your joy. What I mean by that is no more approval seeking and no more people pleasing. So, without going into the deeper work of how to shift that, the simplest way that I can put it is to start to choose things for you. So, inspired by both Belinda and Jody, who were guests on the show in the last two episodes, you could take a pottery class and just do it for you. Not whether you're going to make a great piece of pottery, because probably not on the first attempt. And then not even for saying, hey, I did a pottery class to someone, not even taking it for that, or not even going to one of those things because somebody else wants you to, doing it because it's for you. There's more to that. That's the simplest way that I can put it quickly. The fourth is become present and even become presence itself. There's so much in being able to be here and now and to let go of the past, let go of the worry, let go of the stress, let go of the ruminating of, oh, I wish I did it this way. I wish I said it that way. I know I did that for a very long time. I've seen those calendars where, it's got preparing for meeting, having meeting, debriefing from meeting, and it fills up the whole day. So yeah, I used to be that. And yeah, becoming present. So I know how I became present, and I do that with other people now. I have two other people that are in that space currently. And there's steps involved. And I'm just thinking now, if I were to say it simply, is on tying back to step two, the tip two, sorry, the stimulus plus thought plus pause equals response. Becoming present at a simplest level would be to spend more time in the pause. And I'm borrowing from that from a gentleman that I support, spending more time in the pause. And finally, the fifth one is to be nature. And coming full circle to where we started this conversation today is that we are nature. We are spaciousness. That's all I have for you. Go lightly.